Hey guys, in this video I want to talk about the importance of setting up a professional domain name. All right, and what do I mean by professional domain name? So basically, when you sign up originally for Shopify membership, you're gonna choose a store name, right? And your domain name at the moment is probably something like this, right? www.yourstorename.myshopify.com. And a professional domain name would essentially remove this word my Shopify, so it's just your store name by itself. So www.yourstorename, whatever that may be, .com. Okay, and this is really important because this makes your website look more professional. And the more professional your website looks, the more trust you build with your customers, and that really promotes higher conversion. That promotes your customers to feel safe in making a purchase at your website. And a couple of tips. So when you're brainstorming what kind of domain name or what kind of name you want for your company, your online store, keep a couple things in mind. The first thing you want is something short, sweet, memorable, and easily brandable, all right, as a domain name. And to give you a couple of examples, I mean, think of the word Google, think of the word Yahoo, think of the word Uber. Uber is one of the most recognized companies in the world. It's 4 letters long. It barely even means anything. It has nothing to deal with driving cars, right? It's just a kind of an arbitrary word. Remember that your domain name or the name of your store or company doesn't have to resemble what you sell. It could be completely arbitrary or ambiguous, okay? Also consider when you're purchasing a domain name, don't try to purchase anything with a hyphen or dash or anything that ends in .net. Or remember that at least in the US, something that ends in .com is really the standard you want, right? And you don't want any hyphens like this. This is what I mean by a hyphen, putting a hyphen in the middle of your thing, because it's just not as memorable, right? So ideally no hyphens, no .nets, and keep it just simple as .com. Also keep in mind, consider, if you in the future want to do some social media marketing, you want to create an Instagram page for your online store, it may benefit you to also look on Instagram to see if whatever name you're trying to buy is also available on Instagram as a username. So that, ideally you have an Instagram, if your company's name is XYZ T-shirts, then ideally you would have the username XYZ T-shirts on Instagram, but you would also have the domain name xyzt-shirts.com. All right, and the way you're going to figure this out is if you just go on Instagram and you try to, first off, you should have an account on Instagram, set one up. And when you're trying to choose the username, just try to add that name in. If it's available, it'll let you choose that name. If it's not available, then you won't be able to choose it. And honestly, Instagram has so many users now that most of the good names are already taken. So it might take you some time to figure out something that is not yet taken. Also keep in mind that in the future, when you create a professional email, you're gonna have to already have a domain name purchased. And don't worry, domain names are generally really, really cheap. I think depending on where you buy it, you could get it for like 10, 15 bucks for the entire first year. And we'll go into some websites in just a second. So, but do understand that to create a professional email, for example, if your store name is xyzt-shirts.com, to create an email called support@xyzt-shirts.com, you already have to own the domain name XYZ T-shirts. I know that seems kind of obvious, but I just wanted, for some of those who are new to business and online stuff, then I just wanted to point that out. So where do you buy a domain name? Or actually, before I go to where you can buy it, I wanted to add my personal list. So over the years of creating lots of businesses and thinking of lots of names, I've written down all these kind of cool words that I think would go well with creating either an Instagram name or a domain name for a business. And as you can see, a lot of these words really don't mean anything. They're just kind of arbitrary words, but it's really cool to add these words onto other words. For example, I don't know, if you had a t-shirt company, it would be called T-shirt Refine or T-shirt Alert, Deluxe T-shirts or T-shirt Focus. They're just words you can add with other nouns, basically. So I wanted to put this here. Just pause the video if you want to look at it, and feel free to use these words in your company names. This is my personal list of words I've kind of collated over the years. So kind of going back to where you can buy a domain name. So there's a lot of companies out there. If you're curious, you could just Google purchase domain name. I would say some of the main companies are like Namecheap, Google, I think it's called Google Domain Names, and GoDaddy. I usually buy things from GoDaddy. It is really up to you where you can buy it. GoDaddy is just one of the gold standards, so I usually go here. So now that I'm on here, when you're thinking of domain names, don't assume that they're available. You actually have to go to the website, search the name, and it'll tell you whether that domain name is available or not. If it's not available, then you can't purchase it, right? So let's assume I want to do something like Princeton phone cases, right? Or Princeton iPhone cases, right? If I'm selling iPhone cases. God, I don't even know how to spell. All right, here we go. I know that's a bit long, so this is not ideal, but I just want to show you how this works. So I would search it, right? It is available, or actually Princeton iPhone. So weirdly, oh yeah, Princeton iPhone cases is available. It's $1 a month for the first year, meaning it's only about $12 for the first year. But you know what? Princeton iPhone cases is a bit long, so maybe I might want to just do Princeton iPhone, right? Even though I'm selling iPhone cases, this is a little bit easier to remember. It's easier to write, so I might choose this. These are just random examples, but I just want you to get into the thought process of really thinking through how to choose a domain name. So once you find something you like, you would just click add to cart. You would purchase it with your credit card. As you can see, it's only $1 a month for the first year, so it's very, very cheap. So it doesn't really cost much. One thing I want to add is once you purchase it, make sure the auto renewal for the domain name is on, meaning at 1 year, it will automatically renew your membership for that domain name. Because if not, you could be put at risk of losing that domain name and then someone else purchasing it. And that would be really bad if you spent an entire year creating this very, very successful Shopify store and brand, and then all of a sudden someone steals your domain name. So you obviously don't want that. But again, this is just one website. You can go to multiple websites to buy domain names. Just make sure to check if it's available, and if it's available, you can purchase it. Now going back here, so once we purchase a domain name, how do we actually attach it to our Shopify store? Obviously that's not automatic. You have to proactively do it. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go over back to here. We're gonna go to here. We're gonna click online store, and we're gonna go to the sub tab domains, right? And because we already purchased it, I also wanna add one thing. Depending on, make sure, although I said you can purchase your domain name anywhere, try to purchase it from companies that are the main domain name selling companies. So GoDaddy is one of them, Namecheap is one of them, I think Google domains are one of them. The reason I use GoDaddy is because it's such a popular brand for domain names. When you go into Shopify, you can click connect existing domain, and it'll almost automatically integrate that name with GoDaddy because GoDaddy is such a big company. So you're gonna click connect existing domain, assuming you bought it from GoDaddy. You would type in whatever it is. So Princeton, assuming I bought PrincetonIPhone.com, I would click next. It would search for that. It would recognize that I bought it from GoDaddy.com. And then after you click next, you're gonna click connect automatically, right? I'm not gonna do it because I didn't actually purchase that domain name. And then you're gonna click, a window should pop up, and you should be able to sign into your GoDaddy account and then click connect. So it should be very seamless to integrate that domain name if you purchased it from GoDaddy.com or some other major company that sells domain names. And that's pretty much it. So after that, you should be able to just go into your URL browser at the top, type in your domain name, and it should automatically redirect people to your actual online store. So that's pretty cool. And that's how it's done. It's very simple, as you can see. See you on the next video.